You know, I think when you look back and you say, well, what are you most proud of? The fact that we pulled it off. And, you know, you come into the school today and you just see, my God, this is, you know, we never dreamed that it would be what it is today. And so, you know, you look back and you think of the meetings and the time and energy and resources, and you say, wow, it was all worth it.
Sometimes I think people make an equation that if you don't have money, you're not very smart. You're not academically gifted. You can't handle the load. We know that is so far from the truth. What we do know is that the poor start at a level where they're not on equal footing with everyone else.
The very first conversation about the Marillac happened at a strategic planning session at Sacred Heart Cathedral. It was all about Sacred Heart Cathedral and their future the next 10, 20 years.
Many of the kids coming from poverty weren't ready for a rigorous college preparatory program, and we found that when they entered Sacred Heart Cathedral, they really struggled. So we started thinking about, well, what if we were to start those kids earlier?
And at some point during the meeting, Christian Sullivan, who was the campus minister, came up to me and said, you need to meet this guy, Lou Gerardo.
And he shared a little bit of his own story of his own immigrant background, and really called on the group of people that were there that night and said, you know, we're all immigrants. We all have a story where somebody came over from a different country and made sacrifices to give us a better life. And this is exactly what these families are trying to do. And this particular founding benefactor, Lou Gerardo, he said, you know, back in Italy, in the villages, he said, that's the mentality. You know, we take care of our neighbors. And I firmly believe that the east side of the city should take care of the west side of the city.
If we could center it in a portion of San Francisco where the poor existed, that this became almost a neighborhood school to serve them, would send strong signals about our commitment, and such began the search.
Well, we came on the scene and said, we'd like to open up a school in the Tenderloin. The Franciscan, Father Louis Vitale, said, we would love for the building that was a school that closed in the mid-60s to become a school again.
What is now the Marillac Academy was going to become a community-type center, and to his credit, he stopped it, and then we began to try to figure out how we were going to fund it. Everyone understood that it wasn't a slam dunk, that this school was risky, that it was a tuition-based model in which the families could not pay tuition. We had no endowment, and somehow we were going to find a way to eliminate cost as a factor to attending a Catholic school.
And because I was trying to figure out where we were going to get the money, I didn't know where it was going to come from. 2 weeks later, Sister Audrey calls me and says, we're going to do it. And I said, you're going to do what? We're going to pay for the retrofit, $2 million.
The Daughters of Charity take a fourth vow, and that vow is we promise to serve those who are living in poverty. And education is one way to break the cycle of poverty. The fact that our sisters got involved in this school and were willing and had the means to sponsor this school was very exciting for all of our community.
The key pieces to this whole thing coming together was the vision of Sister Teresa Pirro. I mean, she really understood that if the Daughters of Charity were going to fulfill their mission, they were going to need finances. And when the women who believed in the Daughters of Charity funded that foundation, the Marillac benefited greatly from it.
Like, this school was founded on miracles, things that, you know, you didn't expect, you didn't see it coming, and then it would happen. Wow, this school's blessed. This school is really supposed to happen.
Early on in my time at Marillac, I was able to reflect on LaSalle's quote that the work is yours, and sort of offering up the work to God and recognizing that we're just trying to play a small role in the work that the Lord is directing.
You know, she teases that I gave her a box of papers and said start a school, and she had to start from scratch. Really, it was.
So she literally would send me out with applications and say, go find kids that look like they might be going into 6th grade next year. I felt really responsible for being a representative, a true representative of what the daughters and the brothers could mean. And so for me, that was show them your love, show them your kindness.
The first time that my family knew about the Marillac is when I was living like 2 blocks away from here. And I think it was Mrs. Carroll's, Mr. Omernick. They came over to my house. I was very shy too. I had a lot of like stuffed animals and stuff like that. And I love that when they came over, they were just all smiles. It just kind of gravitated to that.
15 years later, the admission process involves going into the family's home, so you can imagine their circumstances. And it's a great wake-up call for teachers.
And I had a hard time at the beginning. The first year, it was just, on and off. I used to have lunch with Catherine Ronan Carrolls, which was our principal at the time. She knew of all my problems at home, how I was raising my sisters while my mom was at work. And I think that's what made her understand why I was who I was and how we can shape it and make it different. Integrity makes sure we see and acknowledge every person as who they are, and persevere in whatever our dreams are and hope for the best and go for it. There's nothing stopping you but yourself. I mean, for me, Marillac is not just a school, it's a family. I've been coming back since I graduated, doing different things, working in the main office, doing my internship now. And I look at myself in the future here.
So 2 of my family members from the Philippines finally got petitioned to America, right? They had no place to stay, so I took myself off the lease so they can live the American dream. Yeah, so and that transition of being homeless was so devastating because there's moments of like staying at this one homeless shelter, sleeping there on a cot, making sure everything's in my shorts and wearing pants over it so no one can take my stuff. Man, because some of these kids were like screaming, wanting to fight each other, and seeing like, man, if they had Marillac in their life, you know what I mean? That probably would help them out. They would have probably taken anger management class, or just being inside the Marillac from 8 to 5 would not guide them into that direction of maybe being with a gang or I don't know, doing something reckless, taking drugs or something like that, where they're able to have the right resources, the right guidance to put them in the right direction.
Bit by bit, we get where we're going, and if we trust in God and trust in the community around us and know that, the journey is long, but every step in the right direction starts to make a difference.
Trauma is unfortunately a big part of a lot of our families' lives. And not only does it impact the student, but also a lot of our parents have experienced trauma. And so it's just critical to know that, to take it into consideration, to become educated as a faculty and staff on what trauma means and what it looks like.
I think it's known now in the Tenderloin as a safe place. I think even the homeless people in the Tenderloin respect the school and the students that go there and the families. And you sense that they appreciate what's going on there.
It's like the laughter of the neighborhood, like laughing outside during break, screaming, crying, just everything.
And there's like a lot of activities to do. We have enrichment on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We have poetry. We had psychology, and that's the one I'm in.
I think it was about 4 years ago when leadership and the Board of Trustees sat down and we said, hey, we're moving out of the adolescent phase of a nonprofit sort of development stage, and we're in the mature phase now, and we really need to look at sustainability. So that was a painful process because we really had to evaluate our programs. How do we make sure that we're serving these families in the right way and not just meeting needs, but making a difference?
We're really focused on personalized learning at this point. It's an approach to learning where we are looking at the teachers not as the sole deliverers of instruction, but as facilitators of learning. It has the chance to really change the landscape of how Marillac does instruction and be a model for schools like ours.
And we've kind of shifted from like, just get good grades, get into the high school that you want, and then where are you going to go to college? It's more about what excites you, what makes you tick, what do you want to do, and then how do we help you get there?
It's just a good school to express yourself and to figure out who you are.
I love the idea that that a few people came together and identified a need and really built on the strengths of each other. So, you know, whether it's the brothers and daughters and then the lay partners who came together.
It's risky, right? To say that you're going to do this and then actually do it. And I would just thank them for not giving up.
That we do the best we can, and then we trust God to carry it. And I think the Marillac is an example of we did the best we could. I felt we did. We tried. And God stepped in where we failed and filled in the cracks. Probably a heck of a lot more than that.
We created a school that really has helped to change the Tenderloin in a lot of ways and change opportunity for students and their families. But everybody who's been involved, the educators, the board members, the donors, the community members who have been active participants, everybody who's been part of that school has felt the change for themselves in their own way.
You know, God blesses us when we take risks to take care of the most vulnerable, especially children in our world. And I see it at the Marillac.
And if you continue to create institutions or ministries that focus on the needs of the families and children you're trying to serve, you will be successful. If you get off that path, you won't. And I think the history of the brothers and daughters, I mean, that's what they've done. And we're going to do it again, and we're going to do it again, and we're going to do it again. It's no different than the work I'm involved in right now with the brothers starting the Cristo Rey School in Oakland. We're going to find a way to serve 500 low-income kids. How it's all going to come together, who knows, but I'm confident it will come together.
Please come to the Marillac and see how we are doing. May God bless you.
Do my best.